The next big battle royale? That is what some are calling it. TimProVision here, everyone. Today we're taking a look at a game called Super People. The game that is currently just in beta and is slated for some early access in the near future has been making massive waves through the battle royale space, with dozens and dozens of major creators and streamers getting ads for this game to spread some awareness, and rightfully so, as Super People is kind of a mix between PUBG, Apex Legends, and it brings in a lot of other game mechanics that we have seen from shooters and battle royales that are very familiar and that we have seen in these other games, but it's really the game's ability to do things a little bit differently, and it's the combo of all of these things that makes it really special, especially because it is only in beta. But why this game and why should you be interested? Well, it looks like PUBG, and honestly, it looks a little bit more than like PUBG because it looks a lot like PUBG. It has a little less emphasis on the sim type of feel like PUBG has, and it's a healthy mix between that sim feel and ability feel, and its emphasis on looting and its gunplay is honestly some of the best strengths of this game. Let's go on a quick journey of some of the core mechanics of the game so you understand why you really should give this game a try and why I think it is going to be a pretty big deal in the coming months and even year. For me, I break Super People down into an 8-pillar type of game. The storyline feel, your character building, classes and abilities, map, loot emphasis, crafting, and your out-of-game experiences. While all of these mechanics are pretty familiar, again, it's the way Super People is doing them that makes them pretty interesting. Battle Royales are already very popular because they provide players with a storyline. You start out in a different spot every match, more or less, and then you get different loot, you counter different players in different spots. So from the start to the end of your matches, you are developing your story, your narrative of that game, and then you get to repeat it, but the next game's story is completely different. A half decade or a decade ago, Battle Royales were not really as popular due to the technology at the time preventing us from having these massive 60 to 100 player lobbies. But as soon as you do get this and you leave a typical 6v6 or 4v4 multiplayer game for a Battle Royale, it's pretty tough to go back to a spawn die experience, and Super People is no exception to this narrative experience in your game. And not only that, they have this in a big way because even you as a character are progressing in every match. You go from this flimsy little level 1 soldier with no buffs at the start of your match to a soldier who has abilities and perks that let you excel in fights if you are playing with those abilities appropriately. Leveling up gives you a sense of accomplishment in every game, and not only that, your leveling isn't some arbitrary number, it actually matters to the way you are performing in your match. Being able to build your character up as the game progresses really gives the late game a different feel from the early game. This is typical for most battle royales as you do get better and better gear, but Super People really does have something that's a little bit more special. And on top of this, and right now, your class can be different every time, which can be exciting on its own. Classes are currently random, but even if this does go away and you can pick your class, each game still gives you a different weapon perk, meaning your first game you might have a boost to a sniper, while in the next game you could have a boost to your Vector SMG. So if you want to have an edge on your opponents in terms of damage, you need to be proficient with that weapon you are given at the start of a match, which is pretty great as a good player will be able to excel with anything they are given. This does increase the skill gap, which I think is pretty good to have in games. Not only does this require a player to be well versed in the guns of the game, it also makes every game just a little bit more unique. So if you want to make the most out of your character in your game, you can look out for that weapon and make the most out of it. If you are worried you might not get your kit's specific gun and looting RNG might not be in your favor, well, have no fear, because after the first ring or so, you have the option to go get a kit that spawns on the ground in your relative area, and this kit has your specific weapon in it for your class. In the pre-game lobby before the match starts, you can also put attachments, heals, or other items in the kit if you want to as well. This does require you to spend your gold or your currency though, but this is earned naturally through playing, and it lets you have another aspect of decision making as to whether or not you want to use your hard-earned gold to give yourself a little boost in your match. In some ways, it's kind of a Tarkov-esque type of experience in a battle royale. All of that being said, loot is plentiful, and if you don't want to spend your gold because maybe you're saving for a blueprint, then you will more or less be okay. Next is the map, and the map is absolutely massive, and it's fragmented off into little circles that lets you have a new experience per the terrain and environment in every game. At first, I didn't really think I would like this, and I wanted to have the entire map, but the map is so massive that I have barely even noticed this while I am playing the game. This honestly has turned into one of my favorite parts of the game, as every game you play is a little bit different because you are on different portions of that massive map, which virtually gives you a new map every game, and at minimum, it's going to dramatically change the way you are playing every single match, and it's really just incredible. Again, in at first glance, it kind of seems like the map areas are a little bit small, but I honestly have never thought this while I am playing my matches. In every game, it feels like I am exploring and learning new parts of this massive, massive map, which is really just exciting. The next pillar is going to be looting, and looting in this game is massive and it's actually meaningful. There's pills on the ground that you can consume to increase your perk levels, and there's a slew of different consumables, healing items, ammo, and of course that gold that we mentioned earlier that you can pick up. That being said, you are not forced to loot every single time if you do not want to, because you do still have crafting at your disposal, and you still have the kits at your disposal. So if you do want to spend less time looting, you do have options for that type of play. And that is right, we did just mention it, there is a crafting system in this game, yet another way to let you upgrade your items if you do find the right resources on the ground. And I will say it's not so mind-numbingly boring where you need to get dozens of little things to try and craft your little blue backpack. It's really nothing like that. And the game actually will highlight on its own for you where you got to go pick up these crafting items, so you are not forced to really just kind of search and search and search to get these items. It's really a very fluid experience, and crafting is pretty nice, and if you are keeping a close eye on the crafting systems, you will benefit quite a bit from it. I briefly mentioned it earlier, but there's also the system where after you kill someone or at a random spot around the map, you can get blueprints to eventually craft weapons in the menus. This system seems like it really isn't placed quite yet, as it is still very early on in the game, but it's going to be interesting to see how these blueprints work. While I have not played Tarkov personally myself, it kind of seems like there's a small Tarkov experience again, where you can find items on the real map in the Battle Royale, and these items can have influences on your games later on. When you are in game, at the bottom of your inventory, there is going to be a spot for more or less personal items, and right now, usually it's only gold or blueprints, but the possibilities do seem like they could be kind of endless with this, and it will be cool if they do add more items in the future. A couple other things to mention that the game is doing quite well, honestly, from someone that is new to this space, and that is going to be the fact that the game isn't even out yet and there's already a ranked type of system. The developers are also hot patching the game like crazy to make it a more stable experience and to make it a better experience overall, and they're even adjusting some of the weapons. And for someone that is an Apex Legends guy like myself, it's nice to experience a slower game that I can actually take a second, breathe in each match, and think about how I want to play that match in a more meaningful way that really emphasizes kind of the strategic play style. It would not be a fair review though if there wasn't a few concerns that I should bring up if you are considering playing the game. The game is extremely new, so some of this stuff could change even by the time this video comes out. My first concern is the fact that there could be a pay-to-win type of model due to that gold system. The fact that you can find the gold on the ground is good, but the fact that you are also using the gold for some out-of-game experiences, I could definitely see it going a pay-to-win scenario where you are forced to use the gold to buy whatever class you want, or to craft any type of weapon to get those blueprints. Right now, you cannot buy gold with real money, but if they do this, then anyone that wants to spend gold will be able to get the best class every single time, or craft the best weapons, so they are getting them every single game. I don't think this will happen, but it is something that could happen. I don't consider this an issue, and it's not hurting my enjoyment of the game right now, and I don't really want to be held hostage by what could happen in the future. I want to enjoy the game as it is right now. Second to this is that some classes are notably bad, and I wish I could pick my class or pick from a set of 3 classes every game, so I have a little bit more choice and I'm not just randomly getting whatever class I am forced into. This way, if I had a choice to pick between 3 classes, I could at least have a little bit of choice, and then if I did want to spend some gold to get a different class, this would then be on me, but at least I would have a little bit more choice in my class. I do like it the way it is right now because it is random and I'm still learning the game and I want to play every class, so it's okay right now, but there will become a time in the future where I just want to pick a certain class. Super People will not be for everyone. It can be slow at times, but I find the slowness of this game almost adds to the impactfulness of winning, and it makes fights even more exciting when they do happen. And there's a huge emphasis on game knowledge, positioning, and just outsmarting your opponents with the characters, which I absolutely love as an Apex Legends person. I like to know every little aspect of the characters and really have a total complete view of the game, and something like Super People definitely caters to this for me. Another semi issue is going to be the fact that once really good players get the hang of the game, abilities will and are already kind of broken in some spots. Some abilities can be almost impossible to counter, and the developers are rapidly changing and watching things, so I don't think this will be too much of a concern in the long run, but the fact that there are some crazy abilities in the game could be a pretty big concern. Super People probably and will not be the most competitive type of game because there is a lot of RNG like all battle royales, but there's also a lot of abilities, and the abilities definitely add some sort of randomness to your matches. Not every game though needs to be a super pro game with a multi-million-dollar league and flashy shows. Maybe someday, but right now I just don't really see it. I did read somewhere that someone mentioned that if there was a pro scene in the future, it would be way better in a duo format. If you have 3 or 4 people all using abilities, it can be pretty crazy. So Super People will not destroy other games like Apex Legends because it's substantially different, but if I am a PUBG developer, I would be pretty concerned with how good this game is for how early on it is in the life cycle. I kind of don't think PUBG cares much about the regular version of their game these days, which is a little sad to say. I think they've been mostly mobile focused, so there is definitely an opportunity for Super People to come in and try to get in some of that player base. The developers are rapidly making changes, which is just so incredible. We are even getting physical game changes like audio adjustments, which for an Apex player, again, it blows my mind because we've had maybe 1 or 2 audio changes in the past 3 years of Apex Legends. It's just pretty incredible to see a team support the game like this. And for a game that is still in early access, I think it bodes well for the future. All in all, I wanted to share some of the excitement with this game and get the word out about Super People because it is definitely one of the bigger games that will be coming out in the next year or so. Have you tried it? Let me know down in the comments below. And would you like me to cover a full guide on Super People? Let me know down there as well. Be sure to stick to the channel as we will probably cover this game more in the future, and especially if you guys are liking this. Till next time, everyone, happy gaming, legends.